Last year, I think we'd all agree, no matter what you feel about Andrew Berry, he overall did pretty well in the draft, especially with the mid-round picks, right? But you see Mason Graham. Will he be worth the 5th pick overall? I think the jury's still out, but I think at the very least he's a good NFL player. Do we all agree on that?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? Carson Schlesinger seems like a huge hit at 33. Judkins a hit at 36. Fannin a massive hit at, I think that's 67. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Dylan Gabriel, that was a terrible pick at 94, unfortunately. Dylan Sampson at 126. That's fine.
It's a value
You get a
play,
backup running back at 126. That's all right. Shedeur Sanders, I'll say the jury is still out. Not ready to say good or bad. I mean, it can't be a bad pick because it was a 5th-round pick. So at that point, even if he's just in the league, it's a decent pick. But we don't know how good a pick is yet. We got to see how he plays. The jury's still out on that. But overall, Andrew Berry, who had mostly failed in the draft before last year, had a very successful draft. I don't know if you want to call it an A+. I don't know. I wouldn't go that far because they didn't get impact players at this point. Certainly if Shedeur Sanders does become a starter, then it's an A+. Not just a starter, but a good starter. It becomes an A+ draft. But as of now, not quite yet. But still very good. The question is, can he do it again, Mike?
Yeah, he nailed especially the day 2 and day 3 picks, as you alluded to. 4, maybe 5 starters if you want to put Shedeur or Dylan Gabriel.
We can't put Shedeur or Dylan. Well, Dylan Gabriel's not a starter. Shedeur might be, but we can't put him in there yet.
That's what I said, maybe. So 4 starters for sure, maybe a 5th on days 2 and 3 of the NFL draft. We've talked about 6 and 24 at length. Haven't talked about the majority of the Browns' other picks in this draft.
Sure.
So Dustin Bull, he had 4, maybe 5 starters on days 2 and 3 last year. How many do you think he needs to hit on this year, to continue this streak of significantly improved drafting?
There's obviously you need to get 2, and he set up in what position
between day 2 and day 3. You talking about? Okay.
He needs to get me 2. One of the areas of opportunity in the day 2, day 3 range is, I believe that you can find a position like guard or a slot corner that you may be able to pencil in play. I think that you may be able to get a contributor if you decide that you like a tight end in this draft, that you may be able to get one of those guys. I think center is an undervalued position that you may be able to get and develop down the line. But when you look at it, the top of the draft in terms of offensive linemen isn't really what we looked at in terms of the blue chip guys. Like usually for offensive line, there's 2 or 3 guys where you're just like, oh, that guy's good. He's going to be good. Pencil him, start him. There are good guys at the top of the draft, but all of them have flaws. We talked to Dane Brugler yesterday, and it just seems like each one of these guys have a little bit of a flaw, whether it's Caden Proctor, whether it's Fano, or whether it's Lamu, or any of those guys. They seem Freeling. They seem to have a little bit of, a little nitpick here or there. I don't like the size. I like the size, weight issues, whether or not they played a lot. But you can get guys in the 2nd and 3rd round that can help you at center, help you at guard, possibly help you at nickel. And those are the guys that really raise your slot receiver. Yeah. The receiver draft is very deep. If you can say, give me people just forgot Elijah Surratt, guys like that just play ball, that's gamers. Those guys should be available in the 2nd, 3rd round. It's up to you to see if you can get one of those. But I do think that there's opportunity for those guys to get starters because guess what? The Browns aren't that talented when it comes to those guys, so those guys could be potentially starters as well.
Well, I'd say this much. If you're going to, Mike brings up all those great stats from last year. If you're going to compare this year's class versus last year's class, it's going to be completely unfair because last year was like hitting the jackpot. To find that many starters on days 2 and 3 is pretty much unheard of. The number truly is 2 to 3. If you can find 2 to 3 legitimate starters on days 2 and 3, I think that is considered. I would consider it a win for AB in this year's draft. It's just hard. I mean, how many did we 5 last year or 4 to 5 last year?
Yeah, all of
how you look at it.
And a lot of them got playing time.
You got 4 starters.
So
that's you're not getting 4 this year. If you get 4 this year, Andrew Berry,
2 should be the minute. The Browns draft. Put that list up again, Mike. That list of the picks, please. you're in the second and third round.
2 to 3 is acceptable, I think.
39 and 70, like those better be starters.
You'd hope so.
You know, beyond
Yeah,
that, once you get into the
That's
hundreds,
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You need to find 2 is your floor.
39 has to be a starter. You're the 39th pick of the draft. You better be a starter.
Yeah.
70 should be a starter.
I agree.
And then between 107, 146, and 149, you want to hit at least one starter out of those 3 spots to me.
Yep.
206, 248. I mean,
Those guys.
You hope to get a special teams guy.
You're drafting for upside
Yeah.
and whatever it may be. But
Yeah.
you're not expecting those guys who were
Right.
drafted in the after 150.
Yeah.
Who knows?
To expect to get 4, not just 4 starters, but you look at the 4 starters we're talking about. Schlesinger, Judkins, Fannin, and who's the 4th one?
Graham.
Well, he was first round.
Oh, no, so it's
yeah,
only 3, Mike. What are you talking about, 4
Well,
starters?
we talked about Samson being a starter.
No, he's not a starter.
necessarily
What the
a
hell?
starter.
The whole premise is out the window here.
I will
Well,
say
it's 4 if you include Graham, and then 5 if you get Shador.
Shador started.
Shador's
Yeah,
literally
but-
battling to be their starting quarterback.
Now
this
you
year.
have what they did between day 2 and day 3. Schlesinger, Judkins, and Fannin are 3 good starters. Like those are guys who, if they're
Solidified,
healthy,
bona fide, no question, they're
are going to be
starters, yes.
good to or better starters for their entire careers.
it is impressive that I can't remember a time where if you look at the top to bottom, all of those dudes started a game.
Yeah,
Everybody on the list, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Even Samson started the game early
Yeah.
in the season
Samson-
and had a nice game against
where
the Bengals
they
catching
drafted
the football.
Sampson, he's a perfectly good pick. Where they drafted Sanders to this point is a good pick. Could be a great pick if he ends up being the starter. A good starter,
Where they
not just a
drafted
starter.
Gabriel, still
What?
had- or they
Gabriel's a
drafted
bad
Gabriel,
pick. That's the only
still a
bad
head
pick
scratcher.
at this point. And again, even if Shador Sanders doesn't pan out, I wouldn't even call it a bad pick because it's the 5th round. I mean,
Would you say for instance, at the end they say, okay, Shador Sanders, he becomes the starter and Dylan Gabriel's the backup. Would you say a 3rd round pick
No.
for a backup is still
that's a terrible pick.
You still need to need to
Yeah,
get
a
somebody
top
better?
100 pick's got to be a starter in the league to me. And Dylan Gabriel's drafted what, Mike? 90 something?
94th overall.
Yeah, you draft 94th. You got to be a starter. And I don't know, but anyway, I don't want to belabor that. To me, the bigger question really is yes, I think the Browns at 30, whatever they're drafting, and 70 something.
39 and 70.
You want those guys to be starters. You'd love to hit another starter late as they did last year. You'd love to hit some good role players late. But the key are the 2 first-round picks. You know, if you get 3 decent players in the middle of the draft, but you blow the first 2 picks, then it's a failure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for all the middle of the draft we want, they got to hit in the beginning. But yeah, if they're going to have another special draft, like it is unfair to compare in a way, but in a way they have an advantage this year because they have 2 first-round picks, which they didn't last year.
Andrew Barry talked about it last year. He said-
Overall.
He said when you got more bites at the apple of players that's in the top 100, like you get more chances to
Yeah.
do certain things. So if you got 2 first-round picks right here at 6 and 24, if you telling me I could come away with 2 starters, which they should be, their first-round picks, you got 2 starters, and then the second-round pick got to be a starter too, or a major contributor.
100. No, you got to be a starter.
I mean, I would say starter, but if you can come away with that, and you have moderate progression from the guys that you had last year, then you're warming up to a very nice class 2 years in a row.
And obviously the player at 6 has got to be at worst a borderline Pro Bowler. At worst,
Yeah.
if you
It's
draft
their
him at
top
6.
10 pick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
I mean, that's the worst case. You know, anything lower than that's a huge bust. So yeah, I mean, the Browns they have 3 of the top 40 picks. They should have 3 impact players added to their roster. And then beyond that, you hope to get 1 or 2 more starters, which, I mean, beyond that, if you got 2 more starters, that would be a huge win. And as many contributors as possible. But as you said initially, G, they've got a lot of spots for starters.
You know,
If you're good, you're going to play as a rookie.
Think about it. Like, let me be honest with you. If you drafted 2 receivers,
Yeah.
you might find 2 receivers that could start for the Browns. If you
100%.
talk about, especially if you talk about a slot guy,
Yeah, I'm cool with starting over with like a little Higgins Chase situation.
Yeah,
where
like-
you can get a 1 and 2 in the
Yeah.
same draft.
same draft, and you look at it from a perspective of You got Jerry Jeudy. His money is off the books coming up here in a little bit. Cedric Tillman hasn't given you much. You got Isaiah Bond, but I mean, you're not going to be jumping off the roof for Isaiah Bond. He showed some stuff.
I mean,
but
if you drafted a wide receiver at 6 and then drafted another wide receiver in the 3rd round, and I know 3rd round wide receivers haven't been the Browns' thing,
right?
But in theory, if they finally hit on one this time, there's no reason those guys can't be their 2 best receivers.
Yeah, like there's and then I like what they did. There's when you talk about what they did with the offensive line, they put themselves in a position where they didn't need to necessarily reach on an offensive lineman. They don't need to go and say, well, you know what? I don't really like Fano. I don't really like him, but we're going to take him just because we don't got nobody at left tackle. No, they got some veterans up front, and hopefully, now you can't count on DeJuan Jones, but you'll cross your fingers. All right, let's see what he is. We don't know what Luke Whippler is. We'll see. Well, given the fact they got a new offensive line coach, but they put themselves in a position where you may be able to say, well, look, man, we've been looking for a nickel corner in a while. Let's take a look at that maybe in the 3rd round and maybe add something to those guys that you can get some good value.
And there's always a veteran if you feel like you need another option at left tackle in the short term. There's always some veterans out there, including Taylor Decker, who we've talked about before, as a stopgap.